All right, very good morning and welcome to the session. Every Sunday, we make it a point to take one topical issue and then make it a point to discuss in depth. Our objective is to empower both the students who wish to go abroad and their parents with the right set of information, which would improve their chances not just of getting the admission or scholarship in good colleges abroad, but also to get the visa. Today, we are going to be focusing more on the US visa interviews. The reason is very simple. Students who wish to go to the US right now for the spring of 25 will probably be attending the visa interviews in the next fortnight or so. What I am going to be doing is basically dwelling on the various steps that are involved in it and what are the precautions that you need to be undertaking to see to it that the visa rejection rate chances are reduced. For people who do not know me, my name is Mohammed Abdullah. I am the CEO of Conduira. Conduira, as a company, we are based both in Vishakhapatnam, in the Raumatakis area, as well as in Madhavpur in Hyderabad. I am a mechanical engineer. I subsequently got All India rank 17 in GATE. I did join Indian Institute of Science Bangalore before doing my MBA from MDI Gurgaon, where I was also the president of the Student Council. I worked in a PSU first, then moved on to CRISIL, which is India's #1 financial rating and advisory firm, before starting my own educational institution in Vishakhapatnam. I've been guiding students for more than 2 decades now, and my specialization is mostly on the colleges abroad as well as the whole process. Now, today, as I said, the objective is to focus on the visa interview and how to crack it. What I'm going to be basically doing is talking about what exactly you can expect in the visa interview, what is going to be my perception of the trend this time, whether it's going to be easy to get or is it going to become challenging. I'm also going to be covering a few red flag issues. Red flag issues are issues which are very individual to you, but you should be more prepared for it because these are ones that the visa officer would tend to focus on. So let's commence the whole thing. Let's try to understand what is going to be happening now. In my view, with the new government going to take over, the visa rejection rate is going to become higher. Uh, Even in the last season, towards the end of the season, visa rejection rate was quite high, and that was across the geographies, more so in Hyderabad area. And the growing perception in the US is that immigrants, both legal and illegal, are impacting the life as well as the job opportunities for the natives there. So there is going to be a degree of stringency in allowing someone to come inside the US, and subsequently, of course, when you start, applying for jobs, seeking out work visa, or even later the PR. So yes, like the trend seems to be happening everywhere, may that be Australia, Ireland, Canada, even in the US, the things are going to become tighter. Now, spring 25 students probably will escape a bit because you are going towards the fag end of the previous administration. The next administration is expected to be a little more stringent. They are likely to come out with certain policies which will discriminate between good students trying to enter the US and students who just wish to enter the US. This probably is going to be a good news for students who are good. If you can get into good colleges or do the right program, which is in line with your goal as well as what you've done in the past. And of course, be strong at convincing them with your language of English during the visa interview, you are likely to get the visa. Having said that, two things I believe are going to happen. One, people whose visas have been rejected in the past probably will not have a very high approval rate when they apply again. This is in line with the previous thing that happened, whereby the US Embassy did mention the fact that they would like to give preference to people who have not been evaluated even once, which basically means that if you have been evaluated, your visa has been rejected in the past, then the chances are stacked against you, which obviously means that you need to be much more prepared and you need to perform much better. Do remember, however, if you are in this category, don't lose hope. My recommendation is that be well prepared, see to it that the storyline you have is good, and how do you make it good is also something that I'll elaborate as I go forward. And keep a backup country, all right? And if you are working, don't resign till you are sure that you have got yourself a visa. Now, with this background, let's try to understand what is going to happen in the visa interview. What is the visa interview all about? Visa interview is not about evaluating you as a person. For example, is it that if you are going to a top college, your visa will be accepted while you go to lower college, the visa will be rejected? Answer is no. What the visa officers are mandated to do is simply one. Are you a genuine student, or are you a student who carries along with you a risk of staying back in the US? Because like every other country, even US wants you to come and be educated there because it's a good revenue source for themselves. In fact, Indians are one of the primary uh, uh, payers for most of the educational institutions that are in there in the US. So yes, they want your money. But once your education is over, they want you to leave US and go back to your country, in this case, of course, India. Now, they understand the fact that if they were not to give you a postgraduate work visa, then you are not likely to come to the country. Let's not forget, in UK, they learned that in a very bad way when they stopped giving out postgraduate work visa. Indians stopped going there. So the country government had to roll back and reissue the postgraduate work visa. So every country is going to give you postgraduate work visa, and they're okay working, you working there during that time. But post that, they expect you to pack your bags and come back. So for some reason, if the visa officer believes the fact that you are going to stay back, then your chances of getting visa approval will actually diminish. Now, this is very, very important because this is the greatest mandate that you have when you go for the visa interview. Every answer that you say should somehow make them believe the fact that you are not likely to immigrate permanently into the US. So keep this at the back of the mind when you are even practicing your answers. Be clear that the communication is happening whereby you are not in any way hinting that you are likely to stay back. So even if you get a fantastic admission, you have a right pedigree in terms of good GPA coming from a good college or school, your visa is likely to be rejected if you give an impression that you would like to stay back in the US. So your endeavor is to build answers which will give them the comfort that you are not an immigration threat. Now, if anyone's visa has been rejected or you have spoken to people whose visas have been rejected, you will realize the fact that 214B is the form that is given to them. And what does this form say? The form says that your visa has been rejected because you are seen as an immigration threat. That's it. So, to repeat again, you cannot be seen as an immigration threat. Every answer you make should give them the confidence that you are a bona fide student. You have the finances to fund your education there. You're not going to rely on the US economy to fund your education in terms of need for part-time jobs. You probably will stay back during the OPT period, but then you will pack your bags and come back. Now, you're not going to be probably doing it very explicitly, but implicitly, that has to be your storyline. What is going to be the challenge? The greatest challenge is going to be a new trend that started in the last season. Interview duration is shrinking. So what is happening is the interview, which on an average would have lasted about 3 minutes, now is lasting probably about 2 minutes or even in many cases 1 minute. So during that 1 minute, you need to see to it that you are giving them the comfort. And it becomes challenging because you can't speak too much. All right. So what is the first thing that you need to be clear about. Number one, anything that you are submitting, please see to it that this storyline sticks to it. I've seen many students rush in submitting the DS 160 form. In the DS 160 form, they give information which bite them later. For example, if you finish your graduation, let us say you finish the graduation in the fall of 24, all right, you passed out in May 24, and now, of course, you are going in January 25, your program is going to start in the US, and you have that bit. What exactly have you been doing over the last many months? Now, why is this very important? Because you need to position yourself as a serious candidate. Not that, look, I was preparing for the admissions. That preparation is something that you could have done while you were in undergraduation. So again, think of what is the answer that I can give to make them believe that you're a bona fide student, a serious student. Similarly, the college cannot be a random college. It cannot be too low a college, and lower college or higher college is relative to your profile. For example, your profile in undergraduation is good. Your GPA is quite impressive. You come from a decent college, but they notice the fact that you're going for masters in a lower college. Now that is a strict red flag there. So what is that you need to do? Every document that you are carrying with yourself, every communication that you're submitting to them, be very careful. It starts with the DS 160. See to it that you are not lying there, but at the same time, you are not being too open as well. You should have the maturity to understand what to say and what not to say. Once your DS 160 has been submitted, it is quite likely that you might submit another DS 160 because the college has changed before you go for the visa interview. In this case, do remember, you need to take the printout of both. Now, this is a new rule that was introduced last year, and therefore, I've seen many students miss this out. Please see to it that you are carrying all the DS 160s, you have submitted a printout of that when you go for the visa interview. Now, when you come to the visa interview, what are going to be the likely questions that are going to be asked? You will notice that every question is in a way put in to evaluate your seriousness. The first part that you need to be very clear of as a story so that you can frame your answers good is, what is your goal? Is your goal in line with your previous studies? And how is that college that you have opted for and the program that you have opted for is in line with your goal? So the questions that are likely to come here, of course, is first where you're given an opportunity to introduce. Now, it need not come as introduce yourself. It mostly does not come that way because they don't have too much time. It's a little more specific. For example, it could be which college you are going to go to, what program. And while they're doing all that, they're also looking at what you've done in the past. So you have done, let us say, your bachelor's in mechanical engineering, you're going for master's in computer science. You have to have a very strong story to convince them this transition is not happening because you believe job opportunities are more in computer science, which is a fact, but you are able to convince them that you're doing so because it is in line with your goal and your motivation is to learn. Now, this risk comes a little lesser if from mechanical engineering you go to data science, but it's still a shift. If you are from mechanical engineering going to MS in mechanical engineering, then the risk actually comes down. All right. So understand your risk because accordingly you need to be prepared for that. Be very clear about why you have selected the college and why that college is going to help you reach what you're going to give. Now, this is where I've seen many students make one big mistake. It's a very common statement. I've heard a lot of visa officers talk about the reason for the rejection. Quite often, students by heart very typical answers. You need to understand visa interview is not an interview per se. It's more a communication. They are going to ask questions. You need to give an answer. It cannot seem as if you have by-hearted answer or the fact that that answer is not coming from your heart. All right. So every question, ask yourself, what is the answer I need to give? And then practice. Of course, you need to practice. Practice in such a way that it does not seem that it is an answer that you have by-hearted and that you are just vomiting in there. Now, Be very clear about the program and the college and the reason for selecting the college. Let's not forget, in the previous season, two of the favorite questions. One, of course, has always been favorite, is how many colleges have you applied to? How many colleges did you get admitted into? Which are the ones? But last season, there was one more question that is asked. Let us say you got admitted into three colleges. They were asking, why did you particularly pick college A? Why not B and C when you got B and C as well? So you should be able to convince them as to the fact that the college that you picked had was a strong logical thought of pick. All right. Not because job opportunities are good. Remember, you cannot focus on the job there. You have to focus on the learning. You have to focus on your experience. So it is essential that you are preparing for how many colleges did you apply to, which are the colleges you got admitted into, why did you choose this college. Again, while you are preparing the answer, please see to it that it's not a very typical answer. See to it that you are coming out with something that seems different, because visa officers are interviewing so many people every day. They are going to be tired hearing typical answers. And more importantly, when you're delivering it, it should not seem as if it's by-hearted. It should seem as if it is coming from your heart. For example, all right, why ASU? All right, you are going for your master's in data science in Arizona State University. Now, typical answer could be you are talking about the ranking of the college. Typical answer could be you are talking about the college is good. It's one of the leading colleges in the area of data science. Now, just this one sentence might not actually cut ice, because there are a lot of colleges in the US which are leading colleges in the area of data science. So what should you do? One of the things that I would urge you to do is to go to the website about ASU, learn certain features of ASU program that makes it unique. Now, how do you get that? From ASU's website itself. Every college website will talk about certain features that make them strong. Similarly, you can also personalize by talking about certain professors' work you have enjoyed. All right. But it does come with a bit of danger, because let us say you talk about a professor's work. Visa officer is likely to ask a question, did you get in touch with the professor? Which obviously majority of the people would not have done so and need not do so, because you're not going for PhD, you're going for the master's. However, it is still a personalized answer. You can talk about experience, you can talk about the location. All right, for example, YSU. Frankly, my endeavor to do the masters was to dwell deeper into the area of data science, and ASU being a leading college, the curriculum is quite vast and deep. Further, the type of research that is happening, especially in the natural language processing, is in line with what I have done during my undergraduation. And the location also did play a role in that. I'm a person, I feel more comfortable in places which are not very cold. So ASU was obviously the right choice for me. Now, notice, probably many people would have said first point, second point, not necessarily the third point. By injecting the third point, what are you doing? You are making your answer a little atypical. But at the same time, you would have noticed when I was saying it was more communicative, it was more conversational. All right. So the pace with which you speak, the fluency, sometimes when you're by-hearted too much, it becomes too fluent as well. That is not the purpose. It's a conversation that's happening. Similarly, be very clear, be prepared for questions like why not masters in India itself? Now, quite often I've heard students talk negatively. Please don't do anything on the negative side. For example, students tend to say Indian masters are more theoretical, not practical. You can't do the negative. Rather than that, you can say the same thing in the other way. You can say that one of the reasons why I looked at US is because it's a pioneer in the field of technology. Furthermore, the program is more practically oriented. Now, when you say it's more practically oriented, in a way, what you have said without saying is that Indian masters is not practical oriented, it's theoretical oriented. But rather than using the negative tone, what you have done is use the positive tone. While I continue, I'm sure you people would also be having few doubts, probably few questions that you are struggling to come out with an answer. Feel free to ping me up in the chat. I will also be taking those questions and then helping you probably form answers which can be atypical. So learn to use this channel also to take advantage of my experience. Pen down any question that has been troubling you, and let's have a discussion and see whether we can come out with an answer a little different. Now, the second part is also very important. The second part that is very important is the finances. Now, let's be very clear. No country wants people who are poor. Their belief is that you will be a burden to their economy. So it's very essential that when you're going for the visa interview, you position yourself as person coming from at least a middle class family. Now, what are the elements that you need to be careful about? Number one, please don't go with high amount of loan. If you are taking a loan which is more than 60-65 lakhs, it's a red flag. Why do I say that? Because the perception there is, if you are taking so much loan, you probably will stay back to earn to make up for that loan. Now that is a danger thing. Similarly, please see to it that you are not going with 100% loan. All right, let us say your total expense required is 40 lakhs. Now, yes, I understand the fact that you can get 40 lakhs loan, but then that's a bad news. You are in a way saying that you're relying completely on loan. See to it that you take at least 20 to 25% as your savings. And if you do not have savings, there are mechanisms of managing it temporarily. Manage it. Third, let us say you have savings too. So you have the money in the bank and you have a bank statement to prove the fact that you have the money in the bank. Now that is saving, that is an asset. What is the source of that saving? What is the source of the asset? That is where the income statements become very important. Be very clear of the income statement too. You have to have saving which is in line with the income statement. For example, you say my saving is 40 lakhs and you say my father is earning or mother or sponsors are earning about 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs per year. Here, there's a disconnect between how much money you have in the bank and the income that you are able to talk. So there has to be a connect between it. All right. Now let's try to understand how is this tested. You are going to be asked questions on how are you financing the education. So I'll probably give you an answer. Let's then analyze the answer. As I said, you don't need to stick to this format. You can be innovative, you can be creative, but the idea is it should seem as if it's coming from the heart, and at the same time, it should cover all the elements. Abdullah, how are you funding your education? Officer, the total requirement for the whole program is about 70 lakhs. I come from a family where my father is working in government. My mother is a teacher, and cumulatively, they make an income of about 15 lakhs per annum. I'm the only son, so they have been saving for my education. They are sponsoring me with a saving of about 20 lakhs. Additionally, I have also taken an education loan of 50 lakhs. I have also been fortunate in the sense that I've been provided a scholarship about $5,000. Therefore, I do have funds sufficient for both years of academics as well as living. Now, notice what have I done. I started by creating credibility. I talked about the fact that I come from a family where the money is there. Then I talked about saving. I did not start with a loan. I started with the saving, because saving obviously is my funds. That is something that will be given more weightage than someone else's fund being shown. All right, because bank funds are bank funds. But there's one more element. If you have got some scholarship, can I drop that? Of course you can drop that. All right. It creates a credibility for you, especially so if the college is a very good college, ASU being a very good college. And I ended by telling them, look, I have funds which are sufficient for the whole program. Now, why is that important? In a way, what I told them without telling them is that I do not therefore rely on part-time jobs. I do not need part-time jobs. So your finances have to be very clear. The storyline for finance has to be clear. For all of you whom I have already interacted with for the red flag discussion, you would notice the fact that I tend to concentrate more on finances because that storyline has to be clear. What are the points I said? Number one, not too much of loan. Number two, 100% loan is a bad news. Number three, savings have to be shown, which have to be at least 20 to 25%. And the source of saving also has to be there. And this is where I find a lot of students caught short, because not everyone has income tax returns, which is to the level that is desirable. Sometimes business people who probably are earning well don't necessarily, capture that in the income tax returns. I have a lot of students who come from agricultural background where the parents don't even have income tax returns. So for every scenario, you need to ask yourself, how can I create a proof? All right. Now, the best case proof is a governmental proof. But if governmental proof is not there, probably then you can go via the CA route. All right, when you take a chartered accountant route, or probably a document from chartered accountant which says that, all right, I know this person and his annual salary or her annual salary is so much. Even that is better than no document. Please see to it that you're carrying all documents. The reason is, if they were to ask a document and you don't happen to have it, then you increase the risk of visa rejection in a big way. All right. All right, let me take this question. I have, if you go to the US, will you return to India? Is the first question asked by the interview. All right. Then what do I do if they ask, will you return to India? Now, this is where one very important element comes into picture. They are not just looking at how you are sourcing the education. They are also looking at the link with India. Link. Okay. Now, what is the link? One is an emotional link. My parents are there. They are going to become old. I'm the only son, if that is a fact. All right. The second thing is my wealth is here. Okay. So, if you go to the US, would you return to India? For me, US is more about dwelling deeper into the technology and getting the right exposure and network. And yes, I'm quite excited about the growth and technology that's happening in India too. And I strongly do believe that masters in the US will get me good opportunities when I'm back in India. Furthermore, my parents, we are a very close knit family, and therefore, yes, I would like to be with my parents. All my wealth is also in India. In fact, I do have a CA document which talks about 6 crores of wealth that my parents have for me. So yes, I do wish to come back to India after a few years in the US. So what did I do? I talked about why I'm coming back to India. Notice I did not start by saying my father is old, my mother is going to be old, I love them, I can't live without them. I didn't start with that. I started with my career. I said, look, I believe strongly that opportunity is there in India. So I started with opportunity. Why did I do so? Because when you go to the US, you are actually leaving your parents. All right. And there are a lot of Indians who love their parents, but they are in the US and they're not coming to India because that is the life reality. So the first thing I would have said is, I wish to come back to India because opportunity is there in India. And for me, when I make the statement that a master's degree from the US will help me get better job in India, I'm saying, look, my intention of going to the US is to leverage that education to make money in India. But I didn't stop there. I did then talk about the link, all right? And the link is close-knit family. If I'm the only son, I would have used that statement. If I'm the only child, fantastic, I would have done that more. I have had cases of students who are, father is not there, mother is the sponsor. You can even do that. Don't become emotional, of course. I lost my father when I was doing my engineering. My mom is the sole breadwinner, and I'm the only child. So yes, I would love to be with her. Remember, I'm not making a emotional thing. I am talking it as a matter of fact. So normally this question is not asked because they know you will bluff. So you will rarely find this question, will you come back to India? Because though, of course, this is the question that they have in their mind, they also know the fact that if they ask this, only idiots will say, no, 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 I don't want to come back to India. I'll stay back in the US. They also know the fact that only immature people will do that. And even those immature people would have been, advised by mature people to say, idiot, don't say that. So this question normally does not come, but be prepared for anything under the sun, because remember, there's nothing like a set of questions that can be asked. Anything under the sun can be asked, and that is more driven by the VO. All right, Kyra, I believe I have answered your question. In case something has fallen short, just let me know. I can elaborate on that. Okay, now one more element so what are the elements I talked about? First, be very clear that you know the goal that you're talking about, and you are very clear about why the program and the college is linked to the goal. This is where be very much prepared about how many colleges you have applied to, which colleges you have got admitted to, and why a particular college. Remember, there, come out with answers which are a little more personal, conversational. The second part is, do take care of your finances very clearly. Here, what did I say? Don't go for 100% loan. Surely don't go for high-level loan. Have some saving and also have some document that shows how you got that saving. The third element is a red flag. Now, red flag is more personalized. For many of you, I would probably would have already sat with you people to discuss those red flags, but let me reiterate it. For example, let us say you have your own sibling, brother, sister, already in the US. Now, does that complicate things for you? Answer is yes. Because if you already have a sibling in the US, maybe you do come from a family where you tend to migrate to the US. Now, that risk gets compounded if your sibling has already got himself a green card or H1B visa. But if you have a sibling in, let us say, F1 visa or maybe OPT, then all right, the risk still exists, but not as much. So be aware of that. Then you have a sibling, let us say, in Texas, and guess what? You're also going to Texas. Texas. That is another red flag. That's a major bloody red flag. All right. So why do I say that? Because there is a thing that the visa officers have noticed in the US. Once a family member comes, he tries to bring the other family members in. So that gets reinforced when you're going to the same geography. Does that mean that your visa will be rejected? Answer is no. All right. Just last season, in the fall of 24, I have had a case of MBGR kid of mine. She has gone to UNBC, and her elder sister is also a student of UNBC. She went previous year. She was also my kid from Gayatri. So the point that you need to understand is, does it increase the risk? Yes. But can you still make a case? Yes. Talk about why you are selecting UNBC in spite of the fact that your sister is in UNBC. So if you can convince them that the college choice is the right college, then it again becomes thing. That gets improved if you already have a good GPA, you come from a good college, because then you are an individual, all right? You are not your sister alone. You are yourself as well. So you are also an individual. So if you can prepare on that, that becomes good. Red flag is when your visa has been rejected in the past, and that rejection need not be in US, it has been rejected elsewhere. A red flag is a case where your GPA is very low. Red flag is when your backlogs are very high. So these are red flags that you need to be aware of. Red flag is when the gap is too much. You have a break which is long. So in all these red flags, what is that you need to do? First, recognize that you have a red flag. Red flag is when you make an interdisciplinary switch. So for each of this, be very clear. All right, these are the issues I have. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm going for MS in data science. So obviously a question can be asked, why the shift? I have my brother already in the US. And yeah, I mean, I would not recommend you to hide this fact in your DS while filling the visa form, simply because remember, there's one rule that is applicable in all the countries. If you have entered the country using any information that is later proven to be false, or any document which later proven to be forged or false, you will be deported. So you should hide certain facts, but certain other facts you should not hide. For example, I have my cousin there in US. Can I hide it? Yes. I have my own brother in US. Can I hide it? No. It will bite you later. Okay. So the bottom line is try to have as less a red flag as you can, but be prepared for the red flag. That becomes quite important. So three things again. Visa interview is going to be short. People whose visas have been rejected in the past, you have one more headache. The probability of you getting the visa is going to be low, and to improve it, you need to perform extraordinarily well. But remember, I do know of quite a few students whose visas, having been rejected once, have been provided in the past. But if you do come in the category, please be prepared for this one basic question: how is your application different? For example, officer, my visa was rejected in August of 24. Over the last couple of months, I have been working to strengthen my profile. I've actually taken a few online courses. Furthermore, I have introspected and I've realized the fact that given my profile, I'll have better learning experience if I were to go to a better college. Therefore, I did apply to a few additional colleges. My visa was rejected for UMass Dartmouth. Currently, I'm basically going for ASU, which is obviously reputed much higher. So what did I do here? I talked about how my profile has improved. Now, let us say you're not changing the college. Does that increase the risk? Yes, it does. But you still can explain. For example, I have a student of mine who was going to Wisconsin. his visa was rejected. He still is going to Wisconsin, but during this interim, he has been working. Officer, my visa was rejected in September of in June of 24. Since then, of course, I joined the company. I've been gaining some experience. I've also been involved in a project. But more I work and more I interact with professionals, I realize the fact that masters will go a long way. So yes, that's the reason why I'm looking forward to doing my masters at the earliest. And I really hope you will support me this time. So here I have not talked about the college because I'm still in the same college. I'm still applying for the same college, but have a story that you are ready with. Okay. Uh, Once again, three areas. Please be prepared for. One, your goal. How does the program help you in the goal? How is the college right for you? Second, the finances. And third, all the red flag questions. Now, for students who are already students of Conduira, my team would have already sent you a comprehensive list of questions that I've asked in the past. In case you do not have that list or you don't have a database of that nature, I am in the chat putting my contact numbers in both Visakhapatnam and Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, the center is basically in Madhavpur. I do visit there quite often. You can just WhatsApp me for this document, and I'll see to it that I'm sending you the list of questions of the past. Go through each of the questions mentally. Ask yourself, what is the answer I can give? Whatever answer you frame, don't be happy with it. Ask yourself, is this answer coming to be a very typical answer, or can I make it a little personalized? And then don't hesitate sitting in front of the mirror or having a few mock interviews and seeing that you're delivering it. While delivering it, be very conscious that it seems conversational rather than by-hearted. Okay, so if you can take care of all this, believe me, you will be working to improve your visa conversion rate. But at the same time, do understand US is always carries a little bit of risk, because there's no objective criteria for them to decide whether your visa has to be given or denied. That is more driven by the visa officer. Now, having said that, let me stop by making one very important statement. In case your visa does get rejected, there's a very good chance US, like last season, will allow you to apply for visa again. If that opportunity does come, please see to it that you are, as much as possible, not taking the same center where your visa has been rejected in the past. Because if you were to not change the center, there's a probability that visa officer will not even look at your profile once again. The visa officer might be different, but at the end of the day, it has been rejected in the same consulate or the embassy. So try not to unnecessarily take that risk. Try to see if you can change the consulate and embassy and try your lucks once again. All right. With this background, thank you so much for joining. As I said, each weekend we make it a point to take up a topic of topical issues and discuss. Please see to it that you're using these opportunities and channel to have any questions that you might have, any doubts that you might have addressed. You're free to ping me up in this WhatsApp numbers that I have provided you in the chat section. If you have anything personal you would like to take up with me, this is a big decision of your life. It is going to define your future life path. So yes, you need to think very carefully every action of yours. It's also expensive investment of money, and let's not forget a big sacrifice being made, not just by you but also by your parents. All right, so make it worthwhile. The battle is not done. You won one battle, but you have a series of other battles coming forward. You have visa interview, you have immigration interview. Once you go there, you have internship fight, then you have part-time fight, you have academic fight, you have a fight of the environment, you are going to feel homesick a lot, you have a job fight. There are a lot of fights forward. All right, but every fight you fight, put your best in. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Nice of you to join. I'll see you guys again next Sunday, where I'm planning to take a session on Netherlands and trying to understand what is happening in Netherlands. How good is that as an opportunity? Because every country is tightening the screw, so we need to be aware of other opportunities, non-traditional opportunities. So I will be doing that. Please make it a point to join me then. All right, guys, thank you so much.